Our narratives are not doing enough because of our desire to fit in, to challenge misconceptions. And so diaspora communities are mostly subjected to stereotypes and negative portrayals because we are too silent. I don't know if it is afraid we are afraid, or that we are timid, or that the story has been watered down over time in such a way because of the example I gave before, that in the crafting and sharing of the narrative, it is so adjusted and modified that we can no longer challenge the misconceptions. We sometimes suppress the truth about the narratives and do not expound them enough because we do not want to ignite attention, negative attention. We don't want to be left out of the spoils and the scarce benefits. We don't want to, we feel that we can uh engage these persons and manipulate them to help us, but that's not the case. Our narratives must be that we find a way to help ourselves, to mobilize our members where they are, to form the groups and the unions, and surround and engage around a common cause, which can be related to immigrant rights and social justice for persons in the diaspora. Must be a springboard of resilience, of courage, of meaning, of strength, and of connection. And so, if we do not tell them honestly, if we simplify our stories, if we sensationalize our stories, if we do not accept our stories, if we do not believe and move with conviction, then we have an issue. And so the intergenerational dialogue many times become very scant or becomes lacking. And so the values and the history and the identity are lost over time. And so we must make sure that our stories are told unapologetically and courageously and authentically, truthfully and bravely, so that it can evolve over time and strive and make the spirits of our ancestors and also of overcoming live on. The next thing that we find is that our narratives are not doing enough because of our desire to fit in, to challenge misconceptions. And so diaspora communities are mostly subjected to stereotypes and negative portrayals because we are too silent. I don't know if it is afraid we are afraid, or that we are timid, or that the story has been watered down over time in such a way because of the example I gave before, that in the crafting and sharing of the narrative, it is so adjusted and modified that we can no longer challenge the misconceptions. And so it's not assertive enough, it's not accurate enough, and there is a nuanced identity. The next thing that I would want to look at as I relate to these obstacles that we are having is that our narrative sometimes confront political and social issues or mobilizations or movements within a diaspora community. I heard that a lady the other day talked about, I can't remember her name now, but she was doing a presentation and she was narrating an African. I can't remember her name because I follow her a lot, but they sometimes age give you that difficulty. But she was speaking about the nations of Europe talking about coming into the communities to assist and to mobilize and to empower persons. And she's saying these same persons have the heads of our ancestors in their museums, and we have to pay to see them, and they are telling the stories of these persons in an in a way that that does not represent the experience, because they don't know the experience. So the exploiter now wants to become the savior by ignoring those issues. And it is persons like her, because of her age, that knows the narrative, that allows the truth to be out there and the clarity to be given to the young generation who feel and see these people as saviors. And so the implications, there's another hindrance there because we sometimes suppress the truth about the narratives and do not expound them enough because we do not want to ignite attention, negative attention. We don't want to be left out of the spoils and the scarce benefits. We don't want to, we feel that we can uh engage these persons and manipulate them to help us, but that's not the case. Our narratives must be that we find a way to help ourselves, to mobilize our members where they are, to form the groups and the unions and surround and engage around a common cause, which can be related to immigrant rights and social justice for persons in the diaspora, because there are persons there that can tell the story, but of course, as I said, they have to maintain what they're doing. And so, and their spoils scarce benefits and keep their spoils within them, with the misconception that we want to create a legacy and we want to preserve a platform that our children don't have it as difficult as us. I hope I'm not touching any corns and so on, because that is really the plain truth. But our narratives must proudly highlight our contributions, must promote our resilience, must emphasize our richness, and it must also promote a positive representation of who we are and what we are capable of doing in the broader society that we call the diaspora. We must make sure that we assist others through our stories and narratives of overcoming and authority and power to become masters of their own destiny. I value that a lot. And to be true to themselves so they cannot be false to any man. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to host this program every other Monday and to share from the point of view that we are all created equal. We are all thrust into the same world. The inequalities, Obi, are not as serious as we make them unless we remain divided.
Thank you so much for that, sister. That is a powerful word that you said there. There are a lot of powerful nuggets in your presentation, and you know what? I am so happy that we have it on record, so that we can review it from time to time. In fact, that is the intentionality also about it. You see, it is impossible for us to tell our story without somehow, sometime offending someone. The reason is this. You see, if you go to the savannah, say maybe for example, you want to tell a story, say assuming you are an overseer of the savannah and you want a story to be told, you tell the antelope, tell me the word story. The antelope is going to tell you a story, right? But do you think if you give that say possibility to the lion to tell the story, it's going to tell it the same way? It's not going to tell it the same way, because the antelope, the priority of the antelope is not the same priority of the lion. Because the story the antelope is going to tell is to make sure that it stays alive from the hands of the lion. That, if you see it, is a good story, no? Only that is not a good story to the lion. Because if that story was accepted as a true story, the lion is going to die of starvation. Therefore, from what perspective are we understanding this story? You see, there is this conversation that is very common in the United States. In that when you want to talk about history, you see, you don't need to talk about the evil, the terrorism that have been committed in the United States by members of the so-called white supremacy, because you don't want to offend them. You don't want to make them feel bad. Okay, not really dead because they are dead. They are no longer alive, but you don't want to make their children feel bad. So